Shalom, shalom, mishpocha. Welcome to another edition of RaYBaSH's Ramblings. Today I'm going to be talking about divine sabotage. Many of us go through those inescapable questions of life. Who am I? What am I doing here? What is the meaning or purpose in life? And some of us have actually found what God's purpose is for our lives, what His divine will is for us. In other words, what our calling is, our life's work, our life's mission. But sometimes, even though we know this and we have a projected, preconceived idea of what our long-term goal is and what this calling is going to eventually manifest itself in, sometimes we can find ourselves in the middle of life and it feels like and it seems like we are so far off course and so far off the goal. Now, if we believe that God has the power to control our lives, to move and to steer our lives for His divine will and purpose. In other words, it's kind of like predestination and free will. It's like a Reese cup. It's a beautiful combination that has the balance and harmony of chocolate and peanut butter. They're not two diametrically opposed things, but they work together in tangent. And that's kind of a concept that's hard sometimes for our finite minds to wrap itself around. But if we truly believe this, sometimes we find ourselves in a circumstance or a situation in life and thinking, God, why in the heck am I here? Don't you want me to meet this goal, to meet this calling in my life? Don't you want this to manifest itself for you and for your glory? You've called me to your work. You've called me to your service. So why in the heck am I here? And we find ourselves in a place that we don't understand, and it's because we're not infinite like God. It's almost like putting together a puzzle, a 1,000-piece puzzle of a picture of the 101 Dalmatians. Each piece looks the same, and the pieces by themselves can be frustrating because we try to fit it in a place where we think it fits and it's supposed to go, and it doesn't fit. And we get frustrated because we can't pull back like God can and see the big picture, and He knows exactly where each piece goes. It's kind of like a divine scavenger hunt, if you will. Sometimes it seems like God has us moving about and going here and there to these random locations, and to us it makes no sense. It's like, God, why are you doing this? Why am I here? This has nothing to do with my calling. This has nothing to do with what you want me to do. So why am I here? Why are you doing this? But if we calm ourselves down, and if we put our total trust in God, and if we get rid of these preconceived ideas, which all they do is bring disappointment and heartache to our lives. If we get rid of these preconceived ideas and trust God, and like a river, just go with the flow. Because if you're on a river and you're going down the river and just let the current take you, you know what? You'll go through rivers, you'll go through streams, you'll go through lakes, but your final destination, your ultimate goal in mind is to get to the sea. But you're thinking, why do I have to go through all this? What does this have to do with the sea? But on the way of that journey, you see things and you learn things that once you get to the sea, it has prepared you for life and for travel on the sea. And so this divine scavenger hunt, God has you go here and God has you go there, and it seems like you're off course, like you're not where you should be. But yet if you open your heart and open your mind and you understand and realize that, you know what, God has a divine lesson for me here. God has a nugget here. God has a gem here. God has a bit of truth here. And you collect all these things and it starts to make sense. It's kind of like boot camp. It prepares you for where you need to be and what you should be doing. And I've, recently found myself in a place where I'm like, God, why am I here? I don't like this country. I don't like this place. I don't like the people. It seems like we have nothing in common. It seems like nobody wants to hear what I have to say. Nobody wants to learn about the Hebraic roots of their faith, or nobody wants to learn about Torah. So why am I here? I feel like I'm being squashed and squeltered and hemmed in. Sometimes you get this morbid thought that maybe God is divinely sabotaging you from His divine will for your life, and it's like, He's amused at this. He gets amusement from sabotaging His own divine will in your life. But that's not true. That's just Hasatan trying to pull your chain, because God has an ultimate goal and purpose. And it just hit me. I'm thinking, you know what, Yehuda, you're no better than Jonah. You're just a temper tantrum throwing crybaby like Jonah, because you can't get past yourself and you can't see these people. You know what? These people here that I think I have nothing in common with, I don't know them. Have I really taken the chance to step out of my comfort zone to get to know them? Have I given them enough time to warm up to me? Have I actually prayed that God would open the doors for me here? Instead I find myself like Jonah, being standoffish and prejudiced towards certain people, and I'm here underneath a gourd, thinking, God, all I want to do is die. I'm not where I think you want me to be, or where I think I should be, so just go ahead and kill me off. Just forget it. And I thought, oh, how pathetic. And I said, Hashem, please forgive me, because I come to realize, that the people here need the Jewish Messiah and need Torah just as much as people in a place where they're more open to this. It's a missionary work, and it's not going to be easy. And God only has me here maybe to train me, maybe to start something small and move on to something else later. But regardless, I need to bloom where I'm planted. And that's not just a hippie cliche. It's true. You got to bloom where you're planted. Do you think Rav Shaul thought, you know what, this is God's divine will for me to be here put in prison and in the dungeon where I can't go on the sea, where I can't go on land, where I can't go to these congregations and build them up? Did he cry and have a pity party? No, he said, you know what, I'm going to bloom where I'm planted. He said, I've learned in whatever situation and whatever circumstance I'm in, I've learned to be content. What did he do? He wrote the majority of what's in the Brit Chadasha. He wrote letters to these congregations he had a desire to visit, and God used him in a mighty way, and we're still reaping the benefits from those letters even today in our own lives. So wherever you're at, whatever you're doing, just be patient. Just open up your heart and mind to the Creator and say, God, why am I here? What does this have to do with the goal? And even if I don't understand it, I trust you. I trust that I'm here for a reason. I trust that I'm here for a purpose. Help me to learn my lesson here. Help me to do and be all that you want me to do and be here, so I can move on and to bigger and better things, and I can eventually get to where you want me to be in my life. So sometimes we find ourselves in a place we just don't understand and we don't like. But God has us here to learn lessons, to strengthen us, to build our character, to prepare us for what's ahead. What we think we can do easily may be the hardest thing that we've ever faced, and yet God is lovingly and gently bringing us through paths and bringing us through circumstances we may not fully comprehend or understand or not even like. But yet in His mercy, He's preparing us for those greater things ahead. And you know what? Who knows? My wife is more optimistic and more positive than me. She's running into people all the time who has a hunger and a desire to learn the things that I know and that I have to offer, things that God has taught me and wants me to teach other people. And she says, there's people here. There is a congregation here. We just don't see it yet. We just haven't ran into the people yet. Give it time, Yehuda. Give it time, my husband, and eventually God will bring these things to pass. So God bless my wife. She balances me out. When I go to extremes in my thinking or in my thought process, she brings me back to the happy medium and to the center, and she balances my pessimism. So I'm glad that I have a woman that stands behind me and beside me, that has faith and believes in what I'm doing, and believes in the call that God has placed upon our lives, and thinks that we can meet that goal and meet that calling here. And you know what? Life seems so much happier, so much more contentful when I've come to that realization, when I open myself up to that truth. So, you may be in a place where you're not happy, but the happiness lies with you. It doesn't lie with Hashem. It lies with you. So open your heart and your mind to the Ruach HaKodesh and say, God, help me to bloom where I'm planted. And so hopefully this has helped you as much as discovering this has helped me. Shalom and Shavua Tov.